Hi everyone, it's Ben Adams with the American Offset Mortgage, and welcome back to the channel. Now, last week we started talking about credit cards. We had a little bit of an introduction to credit cards, why they're so important, acknowledge that over 80% of US households use credit cards consistently. There's over $1 trillion in credit card debt right now in the United States economy. I mean, that is an astounding number. And we started off the credit card conversation by talking about things that you should avoid and things that you should not do when using credit cards. And today, we're going to start off with talking about what you should be doing if you are going to be using a credit card. So number 4 is, how should you really be using credit cards? Last week, we talked about one of the worst things that you can do with credit cards is either make the minimum payment or not pay off your credit card balance in full each and every month. And the reason that is so toxic is because interest rates on credit cards are so high, 20, 25, 30%. So the amount of interest that is being charged in proportion of the balance is outrageous. And so that is why it is so critically important that you do pay off your credit card balance in full each and every month. So that is number 1. If you are going to use a credit card, you have to make sure that you're going to be getting the credit card balance in full, paid off each and every month. So at the end of the month, if your statement balance is $3,000, you have to pay the entire $3,000 balance. Now, the minimum payment might only be $100, and that's what the credit card companies are trying to get you to do. They're trying to entice you to make that minimum payment, but you cannot fall for it. If you do, you are the one that's going to be getting ripped off, and you're going to be making these financial institutions rich. If your balance is $5,000, you have to pay the full $5,000 balance off. The reason that is also important is because when you're out in the marketplace going to the grocery store or you're using your credit card for consumer purchases, it'll help you with your mindset as far as knowing that you are going to have to make this payment and you're going to pay for the full balance in full every month. And so you're not just going to be spending emotionally or saying, I can't afford this right now, but I'm going to buy it anyways because I'm putting it on my credit card. That is the false belief with credit cards. That's what you should not do. That's what the credit card companies want you to do. But you, as a responsible consumer, you are going to get your credit card balances paid off in full each and every month. Because if you do that, and at that point, you're not going to pay a dime, you're not going to pay a penny in interest if you pay off that balance in full every month. Another thing that's really important when it comes to credit card usage is the utilization rate. So what is the utilization rate? The utilization rate is whatever your limit is. You might have a limit of $10,000, but your balance is $5,000. Well, in that scenario, your utilization rate would be 50% because you have a credit card balance of $5,000, your limit is $10,000. If your credit card balance was $8,000 and your limit was $10,000, at that point, your utilization rate would be 80%. 8,000 divided by 10,000 is 80%. So in the credit card world, you never want to have a utilization rate of higher than 30%. The reason for that is because once you go above that 30% mark, you're going to start getting dinged by the credit bureaus for having a utilization rate that is too high. So that is going to adversely impact your credit score. And then if your credit score goes down, that will then in turn impact the likelihood of, getting approved for future credit, or your interest rates may not be as favorable, or the cost of financing can go up. A lot of Americans think that, well, my limit is 10,000. I can go all the way up to 10,000. Now, technically you can, but you don't ever want to do that. You always want to make sure that utilization rate is at or below 30%, and you want to make sure that you're getting that full balance paid off every month. It's really, really important. Now, fraud protection, that is a huge benefit. We just talked about that. There is so much fraud out there. There are so many scammers out there. And if you are going to make online purchases, which all of us do, you want to make sure that you're doing that with a credit card. Don't ever be using your debit card for that. If you are using a debit card and the purchase is $500 or $1,000 or several thousand, at that point, you are going to have to fight with the merchant and your bank on getting the funds back into your account. If you use your credit card, you're going to have 100% fraud protection. And that's a great segue into benefits of credit cards. What are other benefits of credit cards? The fraud protection is just one huge benefit, but there are several. Another benefit is just convenience. I'm someone, I never use cash, I never write checks, I don't ever want to go to the ATM. In 2023, almost 100% of online merchant, retail stores in person are going to be using credit cards. So it is a really incredible convenience to be able to use a credit card versus some of those other payment methods. And again, credit cards are extremely secure, not just online, but also in person as well. And then of course we have the rewards. So many different credit cards will offer rewards. I have credit cards that'll pay 2% in cash back. There's airline miles. There are trips, there are vacations that you can take. There's all these different rewards. So please make sure that you understand what the rewards are and how you can take advantage of those. And then lastly, there are other benefits. Did you know that a lot of credit cards offer complimentary rental car insurance coverage? About 10 years ago, my grandma ran into my rental car, and because I used my credit card for the reservation, I didn't have to pay for anything, any of the damage, any of the claim, any of the deductible, because I had used my credit card. There's also other consumer protection benefits. For example, a couple of years ago, I had purchased a laptop and there was some water spilled on it. And I'm talking, this was in the first 60 to 90 days that I had had it. But my credit card, they actually sent me a check because I used the credit card for the purchase and the computer was damaged. So they actually wrote me a check for that. Now, all of this advice and this education that I'm providing today, this is also what I'm practicing as an individual. You might be wondering, how do I specifically use credit cards? And I use 100% of all of my consumer purchases are made on credit cards. The only exception to that is in the rare case where I can't use my credit card. If I have to pay cash or if I have to write a check, then I'll do that. But anything that I'm allowed to use a credit card on, I will do that. For my businesses, I will also use my business credit cards for all of my business purchases for the same reasons, for the security, for the cash back, all these other rewards. But the way that I use my cards is I don't pay the credit cards anything, they pay me. The reason that I don't pay them anything is that I never accrue any interest. So another really important way of how I use my credit cards is I don't pay the credit cards anything. I don't pay them any interest. They make no revenue from me. They actually pay me. Now, the reason that they don't make any money off of me is because I pay off my credit cards in full each and every month. My consumer cards, my business cards, the cards that I have also do not have an annual fee. So it literally costs me nothing as far as dollars to have and use my credit cards. But the credit cards pay me. They literally pay me thousands of dollars every year because of the rewards that are built in and how I use my cards. On my personal card, I have a card that has 1.5% cash back. On my business cards, I have a card that has over 2% cash back. So as I'm using my card, I'm not paying any interest. The balance is getting paid off in full every month. I'm not paying any interest. It's not costing me anything. And the credit card companies are literally paying me thousands of dollars every year. And lastly, we talked about this a minute ago, but another big reason that I'm such a big believer in credit cards is because of the fraud protection and how secure they are. I've had my credit card stolen. I've left it places. I've had unauthorized purchases. A couple of years ago, someone went to Walmart and spent $500 or $600. I was not liable for any of that. I've had my information stolen online before, and someone make online purchases under my name with my credit cards. Because of the fraud protection, I am not liable for any of that. Knowing that if there ever is a fraudulent or unauthorized purchase, I don't have to pay for it. Now, I do go through my credit card statement every month to make sure that I'm not being ripped off and that there aren't any fraudulent or unauthorized purchases being made, so I am very aware. But if it ever does happen, and it has, and it seems to happen a couple times a year, I'm not responsible. Well, thank you once again for joining us. If you found value in this video, please give us a like and subscribe. We're still trying to build up the channel so all of us can live our very best financial lives. I have a lot to learn myself, but in the meantime, I want to share what I've learned with you. And until next time, Ben Adams with the American Offset Mortgage signing off.